Hi, welcome back. Today, I want to talk to you about money mindset. I know a lot of you other business owners who are feeling like you're winging it and do not have a clear plan. And I know that you think hope is a strategy, and we know the lack of execution is where all dreams go to die. So, today, and this is a quote I came up with because of all the experience I have with business owners and all the things I see with working with them, is that they are in this state of like, I just kind of wing it, do my gut feeling, and then see what happens. And that is, one way to run a business. Definitely not the best approach. There's a much better, more proactive way to take the reins and control of your business. But what gets in the way of a lot of this is really that money mindset. I find that often business owners are working against that money mindset, and they're confused about money. And this is very normal, especially if you have not been exposed to it, you don't know how to manage it, you don't feel very savvy or knowledgeable in that space. But there's ways that you can educate yourself and understand money better if you're willing to do so that this does not become a barrier in your business growth journey. And money mindset shows up in many different ways. Some of the ways that we see it is that business owners are making money but they feel broke, and this is very common even for successful business owners who are making profit, are paying themselves. They still feel like there's just not enough, and then this might come from experiences in their childhood or things that they have experienced in their adult life that tells them it's hard to get money, earn money, or keep money. And this becomes an issue and a barrier for them to be able to, uh, you know, manage the money correctly or even feel empowered to do so. And it becomes a barrier for them to be able to achieve success. So, knowing that money can be something that gets in the way for business owners, we want to make sure we're working through it to ensure that we are managing it well. The other thing that I see often show up when it comes to managing money in a business or just in general is this feeling of shame or embarrassment about their numbers. Oh, I didn't make a good profit, or I don't know what I'm doing, or like things don't look great. Therefore, it's a reflection on me. And this is where a lot of business owners fall into this trap of not wanting to share or not wanting to get help with it. They're like, well, it has to be perfect before I show anyone or a professional. And we want you to bring the messy middle to us, because it's exactly what we do is we help you untangle it, we help you work through it together to make sure that you are not feeling ashamed or embarrassed, because how would you know how to manage it if you have not done it before? And this is a part of being a business owner, is growing your skill set in all the areas, especially the ones that you don't know much about. The other feeling I see show up often with business owners is the feeling of being alone, or that they're the only ones going through this. And that is not true. A lot of people struggle with their money. A lot of business owners are not making, great profits, and they're not sure how to turn it around. And this is where a professional can come in to help you and provide you support and guidance, and also let you know that there is a way to move forward and a plan to turn it around, instead of just trying to go at it alone, getting some help and assistance so you don't feel lonely making decisions. Even people who are doing well financially in their business feel like they're alone, like they can't talk to their employees about what's going on in the company. They can't run ideas by anyone because, then they think we're doing it, or we're just saying we're going to explore this. And so having that CFO to come in and help them and partner with them on making those decisions or considering opportunities and options is really key to be able to figure out what do we want to do next and how do we want to go about it before we're ready to communicate to the team, right? And announce it broadly. And then there's a feeling of being afraid to take control of the money because they have not been taught it, or they don't know what to do with it, or once it comes in, it goes right out the door because, again, they don't feel in control. They don't think they can make decisions to keep money in the business. And this really gets in the way of being able to scale and have a profitable business. So making sure that you are ready to take control, and also having the right systems in place to take control, is going to really make a huge difference in your business. So if you're not the one to do it and you don't know what systems to implement or where to start, that's where you want to bring in some help to guide you along the way. And sometimes the help is not even a fractional CFO for your business. Sometimes the help is in the form of a therapist that can help you with the money traumas you might be working through. And this is like beyond the skill set of a CFO. So I want to make sure you're reaching out to the right person. Sometimes it's the certified financial planner if it's on the personal side that you're struggling, or a money coach. And then if it's on the business side, then that's when a fractional CFO can help not only diagnose, but help you adjust and make the improvements to the plan by taking action in the right ways to fix the issues that you're seeing. And then the other thing I see often with business owners that we work with is sometimes they're doing really well in their business and they cannot celebrate with anyone because everyone else seems to be struggling, and they're doing well. And so they're the ones standing down. They don't want to be the ones bragging. And so they need someone to celebrate the wins with and also continue to improve on those metrics. So if they're at 10% profit, they want to be at 15. How do they get there? But they don't want to go ask their business friends because maybe their business friends has complained that they don't have any profit. So this is where a good CFO can come in to help support you and make sure that that doesn't get in the way of asking for help, and like be able to talk about those things and not come at it from being greedy. It's just looking to improve the metrics so we could do more with the money we generate. Maybe is give it to employees in some way, reward them, or you know fund more personal goals for you and your family. So it's important that we understand where we're at and where we're going, and then how we close that gap between the two by creating a plan. So what I said about winging it, not being a plan, I think a lot of business owners operate out of their gut instinct, which is great and it serves them well up to a certain point. And then they have to pair it with data to make data driven decisions. And this is where they fall short because they don't feel like they have the skill set or capability to do that. And that's when they start to reach out to us to get more proactive about planning and driving their business to that next stage of growth intentionally and at the right pace. Because sometimes we see businesses grow too fast, and then that is a bit of a mess and it's hard to keep up. So growth is great, but sometimes if it's accelerated growth and you're not ready for it, you might be suffering from that in your business. And then I talked about hope not being a strategy because you actually want to write down your strategy so that you know what are you working towards? What are the goals? Do we know if we're on track or off track? Do we need to make adjustments? What are we trying to achieve? But what are we going to do strategically speaking to be able to achieve it? And then answer how are we going to, what actions are we going to take, and how are we going to make sure that we are achieving those goals and measuring against them. And then last but not least, this lack of execution piece. I see it often as business owners like to dream, they're visionaries, they want to put goals out there, but what they're not doing is doing the work. And I know this sounds like very obvious, but I have seen so many times where business owners have these lofty goals, they want to do all the things, and then they do not take the time to do the necessary execution to achieve the goals. So that becomes a big problem because the business can't move forward if there's certain things only the CEO can do that have not been delegated to your team, or maybe you don't have a team yet. Whatever stage you're in, that lack of execution is going to get you because we have to consistently be executing on our goals and taking those actions in order to be able to see progress. And sometimes progress is not linear. I see a lot of business owners get really antsy about, well, I'm doing all the things and I'm not seeing any results. And then I'm showing up and I'm not seeing any results. And how long is this going to take? And one thing I learned from being in business for over 7 years is that you got to be consistent. You have to have patience, and you got to work the plan. So you got to show up and execute consistently no matter what's going on. You cannot take your eye off the ball. You have to be there doing the things that are necessary for the business to move forward, even if you do not see results, which is really tough because sometimes as a business owner, you want to be able to show results for the hard work you're putting in and the time and effort, but it's not always going to be linear, and sometimes it's going to be exponential. One day things will just click in place and things will happen and you'll see great momentum, and then you have to be ready for that too, by the way, which sometimes catches business owners by surprise and becomes an issue because they didn't properly plan for that and they didn't prepare their team, or to be able to sustain that level of growth and that leap and jump that they just made through their consistent efforts. So making time to work the plan, create the plan in the first place, right, is going to really help you get that clarity to be able to move forward and execute with confidence, and then wait to see when results happen. You will be able to point to the things that you did that got you the results that you wanted. So making sure you're working the plan, that you have outlined the plan, and that you're following through with the plan is going to be critically important from a mindset perspective to make sure you're making progress in your business growth journey. So, if you're still confused about money or you have certain feelings about money, shame, embarrassment, or you're just not sure who you want to show this to, we would love to put our eyes on your numbers and work with you with compassion and empathy on what's happening in your business, what are some problems we need to solve so we can partner in solving those, and then make sure that you don't feel like you're judging yourself for either your success or demise in your business, and that there is a way to get things back on track, and that there is hope, and that you should be reaching out for support, especially if you're feeling lost, because we're here to guide you and advise you through best next steps. We've had clients that have come to us at a loss, and 6 months later we've been able to get them to profit. So when we do the plan, when we create the plan, when we work the actions, and the owner's committed to doing the work necessary to make this happen, that's when we see extraordinary results. And there is no guarantee, but there's definitely a much higher probability that this will be a reality if you are working through this money mindset and making sure you're not waiting to reach out for help until it's too late. There's always a solution. We just gotta work the plan. So if you're looking for help in your business, we would love to have you consider us as your fractional CFO. Make sure you go to our website, wealthworthwithin.com, to book a call through Let's Get Started, or sign up for our newsletter if you're not ready to hire a CFO yet and want to follow along with educational content. We drop newsletters twice a month with things that are top of mind, things that we're working through with clients, things that you should know about on the money side of your business and managing that well. And if nothing else, follow us on social media. We're very active on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram at Wealth Worth Within. So I would love to see you there. Drop me a comment. Let me know you heard this episode and what were your takeaways and what actions will you take after this episode to make sure your business becomes more financially healthy. Thank you. Until next time.